Wow. Do you see this beautiful view behind me here? I am here at Lakeshore Park in Knoxville. There's so much here, not only beautiful views, but walking past playgrounds. There's even some sports fields here. And I have walked the walking path many, many times over the years. But I thought this would be a beautiful backdrop to share something that one of my clients had actually proposed. And I've talked about it off and on throughout the years that I've had my YouTube channel here. But she worded it so perfectly. And so I wanted to take another moment to address some of these things that we're referring to as cultural real estate differences. Stay tuned. Let's talk about it. My name is Melody Wagstaff. I am a real estate agent here in East Tennessee. I live here in Knox County. Um, been a teacher in Knox County schools for many, many years. And I work for a brokerage in Sweetwater, Tennessee. I grew up in Athens, Tennessee. And so I kind of keep the roads hot. I go here, there, and everywhere. I say Sweetwater to Knoxville to Loudon to Morristown and everywhere in between. And so I'm telling you that information to let you know that even in those three cities, Athens, where I grew up, Sweetwater, where my brokerage is, Knox County, where I live, those are three very different communities. Well, you can only imagine if we're talking about, okay, how real estate is in three different communities, how it would be one state versus another state, or how is real estate compared to in Memphis compared to Nashville compared to here in Knoxville. It is completely different. Now, I'm not talking about population wise, I'm not talking about um, demographics. What I'm talking about is real estate cultural differences. So let me give you just a few, okay? So the first one is think about it. Okay. You have found a house. It is beautiful. You're going through the inspection process. The inspector points out this, that, or the other. You decide what you can deal with and what you might want to ask the seller to repair, to replace, to maybe offer a financial compensation for whatever that might be. And the seller agrees to that. Maybe they agree to fix the um, flooring that's a little wobbly, or maybe they're willing to, I don't know, fix the shingle on the roof. Do you think they're going to get the most expensive person to fix that? Probably not. Are they required to get the most expensive person to fix that? Probably not. I think we can all agree that, yes, there are exceptions. There's always exceptions. But most sellers who are selling their home are going to do the bare minimum to meet whatever it is that you're asking them to repair or replace to get the home sold. Wouldn't you? If we're honest, wouldn't you? And so that has been something that's been surprising to people who are moving here from another region of Tennessee or who have moved here from another state, because they're like, well, we're not used to that. It's a thing. Is it always a thing? No, but it's a thing that you need to be aware of. Another thing that you might want to be aware of, and I have talked about this before and I will continue, it will vary from city to city, county to county. However, I know from living in Utah to now for 5 years and then back home here in Tennessee that I can tell you it is always surprising the lack of permits that are required here in Tennessee. You don't need as many permits to build things, to add additions, to install this, that, or the other. It's just surprisingly. I know there are a lot of states where you need a permit to do every little thing. Tennessee is not one of those states. And so when you purchase a home here, you might ask, was there a permit for that addition? Or was there a permit for that pool to be put in? Or was there a permit pulled? The majority of the time, it's going to be in an area where that's not required. Now, some people really like that because they're like, okay, I can do whatever I want to with this property. I can do whatever I want to with my land. Some people who aren't used to that, it's a little bit of an eye-opening experience. Oh, you mean they didn't pull a permit to do this? Well, if you check that county or that city's regulations, they weren't required to. So that is something that is different. It might be a cultural real estate difference from where you're used to. Not saying your way is bad, not saying our way is bad here in East Tennessee. It just is a thing that you need to be aware of. Another thing that often pops up in the middle of real estate transactions is here we don't have and I get calls all the time where somebody will say, okay, Melody, I see you have this house listed at 123 Melody Lane. I'm interested in purchasing that. Okay, that is great. I love that. And they'll say, okay, but I want you to help me purchase that. Here in East Tennessee, dual agency is not the norm. Dual agency is where you are representing a buyer and a seller on the exact same transaction. So if I'm selling 123 Melody Lane and I'm the listing agent, then it is not recommended that I help the buyer buy 123 Melody Lane, right? I would either want you to find your own representation, or if I did help you, then I would drop to what is called a facilitator status. And to do that, I would have to have the permission of the seller who I was in an agency relationship with. They would have to sign off on it. And then you as a buyer would have to sign off on that. That would be the only way that I could help both. And that doesn't matter whether it's me or whoever the agent is. It is not recommended that you represent the buyer and the seller here in East Tennessee on the same transaction. Now, Middle Tennessee might have a different recommendation for that. West Tennessee might have a different recommendation with that. But here in East Tennessee, you don't usually see dual agency. If you do have a realtor working on a transaction here in East Tennessee, and you are basically facilitating the process, which means that you are literally just kind of being the mediator, the facilitator of the documents. You do not have loyalty to the seller. You do not have loyalty to the buyer. You can do it that way. That is not something I choose to do, just so you know. There are agents who do that. That is fine and dandy. But dual agency is not something you see here in East Tennessee. It is not illegal in Tennessee. It's just not, you don't see it much around here. And that is different. In other states, you might have where the agent can represent both the buyer and the seller on the same transaction. The way that I explain it here is you can't cheer for University of Tennessee and the University of Alabama at the same time. You've got to pick your team. And so that's how a lot of agents here in East Tennessee will do that. They'll say, I'll represent the buyer or I'll represent the seller. It's hard to share your loyalties with both a buyer and a seller on the same transaction. So you will not see that as much here in East Tennessee. A fourth thing that is often surprising here, surveys are not required to sell a property or a property with a home on it. It's a good thing if there's a survey, that way you at least know it was done at one time. Hopefully it's been recorded. That's wonderful if there is a survey, But is it required as part of the transaction? No, it is not. You can buy raw land, you can buy a home on a piece of property. It does not have to be surveyed. All right, here's the last one. So I know in certain states, or I recently learned in certain states, in certain regions, that when you come to what is we call closing here, or the settlement date, however you refer it to it, there are some states that require it to be in a clean condition. Okay, in Tennessee, clean is a very broad term. What I may think is clean, you may think is dirty. And so that is not an automatically assumed. There have been buyers who did the final walkthrough and the sellers are still moving out. They go in after the closing time to take possession of the property. They go in. There's dust on the floors. There might be some dust bunnies on the carpet. The oven might still be dirty. That is not a thing. If that's something that is important to you, you need to let your agent know, and maybe they could put that in the special stipulations. I know here right now in the summer, a lot of people will say, I would really like the yard to be mowed so that when I take ownership, I'm still moving in. I may not have all my lawn equipment out. Could they at least mow the grass the day of closing or the day before closing? Well, that's not automatically assumed. If you want that done, that would need to be into the purchase and sale agreement, which is your offer form. So I hope that helps explain just a few of the common things I see about the real estate cultural differences from state to state, region to region, even sometimes county to county. And if you are looking to buy or sell here in East Tennessee, I would be so honored to help you. Please contact me at the contact information below. And I would love it if you would share this video. If you're not a subscriber, I would love for you to subscribe, comment, let me know maybe what's something unique that your state or your region does at closing or during the contractual process, maybe that we don't do here in Tennessee. I would love for you to share that in the comments section on YouTube. And until next time,